YouTube, what it do? It's your boy Sigma 50 back with another video, and I'll be elaboration on the problems I had with my car based on what you see from the title. Yeah, so let me get in the car, do a little warm start. I started this car earlier, so might not be as loud. Right now, I'm just letting the car idle right quick before I take off. We're gonna be recording with the GoPro as I'm talking to y'all. Now, this is the GoPro 10, Hero 10 I meant. And this is what y'all gonna be seeing the video in. Stay tuned. Just stay tuned, I'm gonna be driving down a little bit. Okay, we back, YouTube. All right, so a couple of y'all wanted me to elaborate on the problems that I was having with the car months back, and what to look for. Well, then when I first got the car, let's say 2 weeks of me having the car, the first 2 weeks, the car was driving very smooth. It was driving very, very smooth. And then right after 2 weeks, that's when the car started misfiring. It was a slight misfire, and then that slight misfire started turning into a huge misfire once I kind of revved it one day. So at my job, as y'all know, what is they doing? What is they doing? Golly, bro. Turn. As y'all know, I'm a mechanic, and we did a lot of tests on it. We did check the spark plugs, we checked the coils, we checked compression, we checked everything, but we couldn't find a source of the issue. So for the first 3 months of me owning the car, I couldn't figure out what the problem was. And hold on. Whew. I'm trying to record and talk at the same time. But yeah, I couldn't find out what the problem was. And it was at a point where I was like, bro, I'm not driving this car until I figure out what the problem was. And that's when I was driving a 2005 Mustang, my V6 that y'all saw in my last video, if y'all watched my last video. So within those 3 months, I was just test, I continuously test. I changed the spark plugs, I changed the coils. The coils made a slight difference. The coils made a slight difference, but the issue was still there. The car was still misfired. I looked at the codes were sending, on this side it was sending stuck rich, and on this side it was sending me, on this bank I meant, it was rich and it was lean. It was stuck rich and lean. And bruh, we was trying to figure it out, bro. Bruh, we cannot find out what was the problem. So, like I said, bro, I was driving my 05 Mustang. I was paying insurance for both cars, and it got to a point where I got frustrated, and I was like, bro, you know what? I'm gonna just send it to a shop, because I was losing a lot of money. For them to, I was just gonna let them figure out what the problem was. And they did one test that I didn't do, because like I said, I did a smoke test, compression, I did everything that I could possibly think about. But it was just one test that I didn't do, and that was a back pressure test. They did a back pressure test on my catalytic converter on this side, on the right side, and they found out that my catalytic converter was clogged. Now, when you look at the catalytic converter, it looks like a honeycomb. The catalytic converter looked like a honeycomb, and due to the misfire, I was dumping raw fuel into my cylinders, and that raw fuel ended up traveling all the way to my catalytic converter, causing it to melt. So raw fuel was dumping on the cats, and that caused it to clog the airflow. Air wasn't able to go freely through it, and that was causing my poor fuel economy. Like, I was probably driving like 12, I get like 12 to the gallon. Like, I was so frustrated by it. I had to send it to them, and I was spending a lot of money paying for both cars. And yeah, that was the first problem that I had with this car. The second problem, alright, so the second problem I had with this car, and like, before I tell you all the problems I had with this car, not necessarily every single first gen Coyote gonna have the same problem. I don't know if they're gonna have the same problems as this. Maybe y'all going through the same thing that I'm going through. But yeah, the second problem that I went through was my radiator fan. Now this is a common issue with the S197 5.0s, that the radiator fan, the connector, will melt. So I had to go through 3 radiators. I had to go through 3 radiators for everything to work good now. Now, the first time I figured out that the radiator wasn't working, my car was overheating on my way to my job. I pulled over to the side, let the car cool down. When the car cooled down enough, I had to drive at over 50 so the car wouldn't overheat at low speeds. And then that's where, like, I inspected it, and I found out that I turned the AC on. I found out that my radiator fan was not working. I got to my job the next day, and I looked at the pigtail, and the pigtail was melted. Now, it's a remedy that you could do to, like, temporarily have your radiator fan back working, and that is taking out the connector, going to the female part of that, on the pigtail or the connector, and smashing down the contacts. And that worked for, I think, like a month or 2, and then that's when it stopped working again. So that's when I replaced it, and I got a new radiator from AutoZone. Now this is aftermarket. Now this is the aftermarket radiator, and sooner or later the radiator fan started working again. So, and then it was at a point where the pigtail was now messed up. That was that point where the pigtail started messing up. The pigtail was melted, and the other part of the connector was melted also. So I had changed both. Like, I cut the pigtail off, and I soldered it, I spliced it. I did all of that to it, and now I have a new pigtail on it. I put a new radiator. I think y'all saw that video of me changing the radiator, like how to change it. Yeah, that was basically that same, I can say that same week in which I changed the radiator, that all of that happened. But that was the second issue that came with owning this car so far. That wasn't really a major one like the catalytic converter. The catalytic converter, I spent so much money trying to figure out how to fix that car. And yeah, now the third thing, what was the third thing? Now the third thing, this was another issue that I had. This was kind of major. My clutch pedal assembly broke. On my way to my job, my first job, my full-time job as a mechanic, I was like in 4th gear, and some kids, they heard my car, they turned around, they was like, rev the car. I revved the car up. I revved the car, but I started downshifting. I downshifted the car loud. I downshifted again to 2nd gear. Now, whenever I downshift, I take my foot off the clutch. So it came to a point where I had to stop, and I then had to go again, like get into gear, the first gear to pull into my job. My clutch pedal was sticking all the way down to the floor. And I was like, oh snap, I messed up my clutch pedal. I was like, oh snap. And I saw the spring that's inside the assembly brake. I saw it was loose actually. That was off. So I was like, yeah, I gotta get a new assembly. And once I ordered a new assembly, it said the new assembly is gonna come in like 3 days. I had to let my car sit for 3 days while I had to again drive the 05 Mustang until that new assembly came. 3 days later, the new assembly come. I take the old assembly out, I put everything back where it's supposed to be. Now I put the new one in, I put everything where it's supposed to be. And I could say like 2 days later, it felt as though my clutch wasn't fully disengaging. Yeah, it felt like my clutch wasn't fully disengaging from like whenever I go into gear or when I get out of a gear, like it felt like it wasn't fully disengaging. So one day, trying to race? Whew. So yeah, one day I was on a night cruise and my clutch started feeling weird. And like it was hard for me to get into gear, like to change gears. I had to press the clutch pedal all the way down for me to get into a gear. And sometimes it would lock me out. But then that's when like I was no longer able to get into gear. And when that happened, I got the car and make sure everything and the engine bay was straight. Oh my God, I hate when it's shaking. About to rain. I made sure everything in the engine bay was straight, everything looked good. So I was like, bro, I gotta get home. So that's when like I put my car into gear while I was off, cause my clutch pedal was all the way down. Like it wouldn't come up. It would not come up. It would not come back up. Like usually when you press the clutch pedal, it spring right back up. It was not coming back up. So that's when like the car off, I put it in gear and I was driving. Now I drove and like good thing it was no red lights until like it got to a red light that I always hate, like this light I always hate on Biscayne. I got to that light and I was no longer able to like drive the car. I was no longer able to like even put it in. I don't know what happened, but I wasn't able to drive again. So that's when like this is like 1 o'clock in the morning at night, and I called my dad. My dad helped me. He pushed my car. Like my car was able to turn on, and at the time I didn't really know, so I didn't. All right, y'all, I'm recording from the phone right now because the GoPro started tripping, or it started heating up a little bit. But like I said, like the clutch pedal, the new assembly that I got, it comes from the factory loose, have 2 loose parts. Now this is the clutch assembly right here. Now you see this island right here, and it's like a 10mm nut right there that you see on the inside. You have to tighten those. You have to tighten those 2 in order for the clutch pedal to be good. Now, like I said, it came from wherever I got it from, loose. So it ended up breaking again. That assembly right there broke again. That's why I had to get a new one. And when I put this assembly that I have on my car right now, when I put this one on, I made sure I tightened those 2 things that I told y'all that y'all should tighten. And when I did that, the clutch pedal felt very good. I put this assembly in, I bled the system. I hand bled the system. I pumped it up. Everything felt good. And I was finally like happy, bro. I was like, bro, finally. Oh my God, it's raining. I was like, finally, bro, my car is functioning good. I could finally drive normally. But look at this Benz, bro. You got it, bro. You got it. I would race you, but it's raining. I beat one of those already. But yeah, like I said, bro, my car was just good after that, bro. And then for like, ooh, that was scary right there. And like for like 2 months, my car just driving normally, bro. Nothing happened. My car didn't overheat. I didn't start misfiring again. Clutch pedal felt good. And it was like, bruh, just because of these just because of this island right here. What is that? What is that? What island at? What is that? Oh, this the master cylinder right here. But just because of this island and that 10mm bolt in the inside that came from the factory untightened, I had to drop my transmission for no reason, just to change the throwout bearing. That was the source of the problem of my clutch pedal. So hopefully, oh my God. I don't know. But yeah, man, those are the 3 major issues I had with this car so far. I did not see them. The 3 major issues I had with this car so far. Other than that, this car has been everything I wanted it to be. Now, from January in which I got the car until I can say August is where this car was just giving me problems. Everything after August, and it's now January of the new year, the car's been good, bro. I'm now full bolt on. Like if y'all saw my other videos, y'all know what I did to this car. The Boss Manifold, JLT core there and tape, BBK long tube head. I got the 1 7/8, and the BBK Caddy X pipe. I have the Corsa quad tip stock, the stock resonators. I'm lawn tuned. I gotta get a retune also because I don't feel like I'm getting enough power out of my headers. Because with just this setup, everything I have, with the headers tuned, I should be pushing at least 420 to the wheel. But yeah, bro, stay tuned for more videos. If there's anything else y'all wanted me to elaborate on, bro, just tell me, and I'll do that for y'all. Hopefully I gave y'all enough information as possible. Alright, look, I had to stop for a while. But yeah, 4 days later, the throwout bearing finally comes. And I already got the... Hello, what I said? I'm tripping. 4 days later, the throwout bearing comes. I started dropping the transmission. It took me 2 hours to drop the transmission. And like, it was a learning experience also to drop it, because that was my first time ever dropping that. My transmission out of my car, so if I have to ever do it again, like, it would be easier. So yeah, I dropped it. I put the new throwout bearing inside, and yeah, I put the new throwout bearing inside, and then I put everything back up. I put the transmission back up. It took me 2 hours to do that also. Then that's where it was like, I put the assembly back together. I put everything where it's supposed to be at. And I got back in the car to check it. I bled the system because I put a new throwout bearing in. So yeah, I pumped it with the clutch pedal, and the clutch pedal felt the same way. And I was like, no, bruh, I did all that. I dropped the transmission. I put a new throwout bearing in, and it took me 2 hours. Yeah, that same day I dropped it in 2 hours. I couldn't do it. I couldn't finish the job because I had to come to my second job. So yeah, I had to wait a day. I had to wait till the next day to do that, to put everything back together. And I was like, yeah, I put everything back together, and it was like, bro, the clutch pedal still feels the same. And one of my buddies, who also in my Coyote, or who also in my Mustang group, the person I raced against, also the 2017 Ford Bolt-on Mustang, he looked at the assembly that was already in the car, the one that was broke, the new assembly that was in the car, and he looked at it. He was like, oh snap, the 2 bolts, they're loose. And I'm gonna show y'all what I was talking about. Those came from on a new assembly that I got. The bolts came from the factory loose, and that caused the problem in which I couldn't like the clutch pedal wouldn't pop all the way back out. It would pop back. It would pop out halfway. So I mean, I'm gonna show you. It's a video that's gonna be after this of me showing y'all which one, but I'm gonna show y'all again. This the clutch pedal assembly right here. This the clutch pedal on the left, and that's the brake pedal right here on the right. And like I said, bro, before I start driving again, that island right there, and there's a 10 millimeter nut right there that you see right there in the back on that little I guess whatever that is. But yeah, you have to tighten those 2 things, bro. If you don't tighten it, you'll have the same problem that I had with this. Just look at it. The assembly don't come from the factory like this. And you see this right here? You see how this kind of crooked? That was crooked on top of the assembly. I mean, yeah, that was crooked already when I looked at it. He showed me, he was like, yo, this is crooked. Yeah, you need a new assembly. So once I got the new assembly, I made sure I tightened these 2 things, bro. And hold on, the video will come up. Hold on, let me see.